I am Daniel Lucas,
And this is Mick, the Doctor of Digital.
and welcome to Love Letters. Love Letters are a collection of love stories of people get lost, get crazy, and disoriented in the name of love. Another great episode, another topic with Mr. Mick. We forgot how to love the quiet crisis in modern relationships. What a topic, Mr. Mick.
I hope so. This is rediscovering the sacred fire of intimacy, the lost art of real love, while modern relationships keep falling short.
Yes. And what is today's episode? It is reckoning, a call, a return, or it's about a lost art of real life. Why is it in a modern age do we keep fumbling what once come so naturally?
We used to wait in the dark, now we ghost after a few missed texts. Real love, the kind that peels fruit, waits by hospital beds, and listens without judgment, feels endangered in a culture obsessed with red flags and dopamine hits. This isn't just about romance, it's about the fundamental human capacity to connect, to see, to stay present when everything around us screams and screams for our scattered attention. Think about it. When did we start treating love like a subscription service we could cancel at the first sign of inconvenience? When did we begin approaching relationships like we're shopping for the perfect product, ready to return anything that doesn't meet our ever expanding list of requirements? This essay and thoughts here in this episode are for anyone who ever wondered why love today feels thin, performative, or fragile. It's for those who remember when promises meant something, when showing up wasn't negotiable, when love was a verb that required daily practice rather than a feeling that came and went like the weather. It's not because love itself has changed, it's because we have. We've been conditioned to believe that love should be effortless, that the right person will never trigger us, never challenge us, never require us to grow. We've been sold the lie that healthy relationships are frictionless, that true love means never having to do the hard work of understanding someone else's wounds, their fears, their way of moving through the world. Let's remember what love looked like before it was hashtag, before it was modified, analyzed, and reduced to compatibility algorithms, before we started treating our hearts like stock portfolios, constantly evaluating whether our emotional instruments were paying sufficient dividends. To wrap up, let's bring back that heartfelt glow of truly caring for someone and feeling their care for us in return. Not the performative care that posts well on social media, but the quiet care that shows up in the middle of the night and the mundane moments in the spaces between words, where real intimacy lives. Thoughts expressed here in response to The Lost Art of Real Love While Modern Relationships Keep Falling Short by Dab SM. Here is where we talk love, presence, and the deeper truths that get buried beneath the noise. The truths that don't fit into Instagram captions or TikTok sound bites that have sustained human connection for millennia. So settle in, pour your coffee, tune out the scroll. Let's go old school, friends. Not to chase nostalgia, but because the future might just need the ancient fire of sacred wisdom to light the path forward. In a world that profits from our distraction, choosing presence becomes a revolutionary act. In conclusion, share your thoughts. What timeless truth keeps your creativity burning? What ancient wisdom guides your heart when modern dating culture leaves you feeling empty?
Mr. Mick, I read something recently that stuck with me. It's not the red flags we should fear, but the green ones we've stopped seeing. What's that about?
Well, that's powerful. Here's the thing, we are so trained to look for what's wrong that we forget to notice what's right. We've turned dating into a checklist of disqualifiers. X didn't text back fast enough. X didn't post about me. X has friends of the opposite sex. X doesn't love dogs. X leaves dishes in the sink. X laughs too loud. X doesn't share my exact political views. We diagnose people like we're prepping for surgery. Everything's a red flag. He's 5 minutes late, red flag. She ordered a salad on the first date, red flag. They don't text good morning every single day, red flag. But here's what we've lost: the art of seeing someone's character in the small moments, the way they treat the waiter, how they speak about their ex, whether they're returning their shopping cart to the corral. These aren't TikTok worthy observations, but they reveal the soul. When was the last time someone said, "Wow, she's consistent," or "He's deeply kind in quiet ways," or "She remembers things that matter to me," or "He holds space for my feelings without trying to fix me"? Those don't trend, they don't go viral, but they're the foundation of love, and we've stopped seeing them. We become so skilled at spotting potential problems that we've forgotten how to recognize actual goodness. We can list 100 reasons why someone isn't right for us, but we struggle to name 3 reasons why they are. We've trained ourselves to be relationship detectives, always looking for evidence of unworthiness, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. The Talmud says, "What is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor." But what about this? What is beautiful in your neighbor, do not overlook. What if we started there? What if we entered relationships not as judges looking for flaws, but as witnesses looking for light? I think about couples who have been married for 50 years. They didn't stay together because they never saw red flags. They stayed because they chose to water the green ones. They saw their partner's capacity for growth, their heart beneath the habits, their potential beneath the patterns. In conclusion, we are losing the art of seeing goodness, and without that skill, we'll keep walking away from gold because we're too busy looking for fool's gold.
Fool's gold indeed. So, what is a real love, Mr. Mick?
Well, last week, feeling let down by today's chaos, I turned to the timeless refuge I always seek when the modern world dims my hope. I reached out, not for TikTok wisdom, but for something older, wiser. A buddy of mine, a man who's seen more winters than I've worn coats, and something in the quiet when he said, "You can never change this generation, even it's for their good. And unfortunately, we don't always know what's good for them." That hit me because it's true, isn't it? We're so convinced that we've evolved beyond the need for old fashioned virtues like patience, commitment, and sacrifice. We think we've outgrown the wisdom of generations who understood that love isn't a feeling you fall into and out of, but a choice you make every day. Later, scrolling, yes, Instagram, guilty, I saw a reel of an elderly man helping his wife into a bus. She was in a wheelchair. He lowered the ramp, guided her wheelchair onto the bus, secured it carefully, folded the ramp up, and sat beside her. No cameras, no hashtags, just presence, just love in action. That's love, not the dopamine hit of a fire emoji reply, but the oxytocin swell of showing up for someone when no one else sees. Not the performance of care, but the practice of it. It reminded me of my parents during our daily dinner routine. My mom, a homemaker, still made time to listen attentively to Dad's work stories about Frenchie, Birdie, Bobcat, and Shake of the Head Louie. I don't make these names up. Even when he was all day at the factory, she'd be worn from the day, dishes to wash, laundry to fold, children to tend to, but there she was, present in body and soul, curiosity in her voice. She didn't just hear him, she saw him. She understood that his stories weren't just about work, they were about his day, his frustrations, his small victories. She knew that her attention was a gift and she gave it freely, not because she had to, but because she chose to, every single day. My dad, he'd come home tired, sometimes frustrated, but he'd still ask about her day. He would still talk and catch up on the day. I'm sure even when he was exhausted. That wasn't perfection. There were misunderstandings, moments of frustration, but in practice, daily intentional practice. Love is a discipline, not just a feeling. Love is a commitment to see and to be seen, to know and to be known, to stay and keep choosing to stay. In conclusion, that wasn't perfection, it was practice, daily and intentional.
So, Mr. Mick, so you're saying what we call connection today is not a connection.
Exactly. We used to lose sleep for each other. Now we lose interest after a text goes unanswered. We used to write letters that took weeks to arrive and months to respond to. Now we panic if someone doesn't respond within hours. We used to ask, "Are you okay?" when someone seemed distant. Now we double tap a story and call that emotional labor. We used to sit with someone in their pain, even when we didn't know what to say. Now we send a heart emoji and move on. We've confused access with intimacy. Just because you can reach number someone 24/7 doesn't mean you're close to them. Just because you can see their every meal, workout, and mood doesn't mean you know their soul. Love wasn't a negotiation. It was present. It was showing up when showing up was inconvenient. It was staying when staying was uncomfortable. It was choosing the person over and over, not because they were perfect, but because love is a practice, not a performance. There's a reason Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind, it keeps no record of wrongs. It doesn't say love responds in 3 minutes or less, or love is visible in your Instagram stories, or love never triggers your trauma, or love should feel effortless. It says love endures, love hears all things, love hopes all things, love believes all things. Not because the person is perfect, but because love chooses to see beyond the imperfection to the heart beneath. Real love is peeling fruit in the morning because you know they hate the mess of citrus under their fingernails. It's waiting in the dark when someone's late, not because you're codependent, but because you're concerned. It's folding the ramp at the bus stop day after day, year after year, because this is your person and this is what love looks like. And you know what? There's more rock and roll than anything on a stage. Even Ian Hunter, who gave us anthems about youth and disillusionment, understood the soul's ache for something real. Listen to his song, Irene Wild. It's not about performance. That's about the raw, honest longing for connection that transcends the superficial. That kind of love changes you, that makes you better, that teaches you what it means to be human. In conclusion, that's the soul shaping young man's journey of transformation, forged in the crucible of love's deepest heartache, lost first love.
Mr. Mick, everyone's princess treatment. But what happens when the crown's heavy and your partner's tired?
The obsession with performative love is killing actual love. We want the gestures, the grand romantic displays, the Instagram worthy moments. We want our partners to be mind readers, to anticipate our needs, to make us feel special without us having to ask. But real love isn't about being treated like royalty. It's about being seen as human. It's about being loved not for the role you play, but for the person you are. It's about knowing that on your worst day, when you're cranky and tired and not all that princess like, your person will still choose you. We need real guidelines for the physical world. The quote, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, is attributed to Sir Isaac Newton. It's the third law of motion from his work published in 1687. Relationships has physics too. Energy flows. When you give criticism, you get defensiveness. When you give appreciation, you get openness. When you give love, you get love. Flow in a relationship. Don't thwart it. If you want royalty, then don't tear down your king. If you want to be cherished, then don't diminish your partner. If you want romance, then create the conditions for it to flourish. We crave the magic of rules, yet shy away from the hard-won effort that makes them real. We want the happy ending without the hero's journey. We want the prince to rescue us without having to face our dragons. Consider Ian Hunter's Just Another Night about his experiences in an Indianapolis City jail. Even in the darkest moments, there's a recognition that transformation comes through struggle, that growth requires discomfort, that real stories have conflict and resolution, not just perpetual bliss. But real fairy tales, they had dragons, trials, long walks through the wilderness. Think Ruth and Boaz. The story of Ruth and Boaz is found in the book of Ruth, primarily in Ruth 2, 1 through 4:22. The story exemplifies love through sacrifice and redemption. Ruth could have returned to her people after her husband died. Instead, she chose to stay with Naomi, to embrace a foreign land and a foreign God. Her bold move to lie at Boaz's feet reflects a holy audacity, trusting in God's provision. She didn't want to wait for love to find her. She positioned herself for it. Patristic Father Origen, the 3rd century, interprets Ruth as a symbol of the Gentile church, redeemed by Christ, casing divine love's inclusivity. Think Jacob laboring 7 years for Rachel, then 7 more. The text says those 7 years seemed like only a few days to him because of his love for her. Then he was tricked into marrying Leah, and he agreed to work 7 more years for Rachel. Jacob's unwavering determination shines as a testament to love's strength, enduring even the toughest trials. 14 years of labor for the woman he loved, not because he was desperate or pathetic, but because he understood that some things are worth waiting for, worth working for, worth sacrificing for. The number 14 symbolizes completeness in biblical numerology, underscoring the fullness of Jacob's devotion. Patristic Father Augustine in City of God sees Jacob's 2 wives as symbols of the active, Leah, and the contemplative, Rachel, lives. suggesting love's balance, duty, and desire. Could a man in today's world wait patiently 14 years to win the love of a woman? Could a woman wait while her beloved worked through his growth, his healing, his journey toward becoming the man she deserved? Our attention spans don't last 7 seconds on TikTok, certainly not 7 weeks, let alone 7 years. We want instant gratification, immediate results, love without the labor. Would a modern man labor for years to prove his love, to show his commitment, to demonstrate his worth? In conclusion, would a modern woman wait for her partner had to work through wounds to grow, to become?
Mr. Mick, let's talk about the biochemistry. Share what keeps your love enduring. Love is not just fleeting dopamine rush. Is it friends? Can it be a sacred flame that burns steadily through life storms?
Love is oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the chemical that's released when you hug someone for more than 20 seconds, when you make eye contact with someone you care about, when you engage in meaningful touch, when you feel safe and connected. Dopamine spikes when you get a hey emoji at midnight. It's the chemical of anticipation, of novelty, of the hunt. And what makes your heart race when you see their name on your phone. But dopamine is fleeting. It's designed to fade. It's the chemical of wanting, not of having. Oxytocin rises when you hold someone after they've had a rough day, when you sit together in comfortable silence, when you laugh until your sides hurt, when you feel seen and known and accepted exactly as you are. Oxytocin is the chemical of connection, of bonding, of love that lasts. We're chasing nervous system highs instead of building nervous system safety. We're addicted to the drama, the uncertainty, the push and pull of will they won't, will they, instead of the steady comfort of they will and they do. Then we crash. And when the crash comes, we don't say, I'm addicted to novelty. We say, he was toxic. We don't say, I'm struggling with intimacy. We say, she was clingy. We don't say, I'm afraid of commitment. We say, we're not compatible. We don't ghost because we're cruel. We ghost because we've never been taught how to end something kindly. We've never been shown how to say, I've enjoyed getting to know you, but I don't feel we're a match. We've never learned that honesty, even when it hurts, is kinder than silence. We breadcrumb not because we're evil, but because we fear confrontation. We're scared of being the bad guy, so we become the confusing guy instead. We'd rather leave someone wondering than deal with the discomfort of a difficult conversation. We post cryptic quotes like, if they wanted to, they would, instead of just saying, I miss you. We hide behind passive aggressive social media posts instead of having direct, honest conversations. That's not maturity. That's not wisdom. That's not emotional intelligence. That's emotional cowardice dressed up as empowerment. It's avoidance disguised as boundaries. It's fear masquerading as strength. Yet true biblical trust flows freely, unhindered by the shadow of secrecy. It's shaped and shared life. It's open books, open hearts, open phones, not because you're checking up on each other, but because you have nothing to hide. It's Adam and Eve being naked and unashamed, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, completely known and completely loved. It's what the early church fathers called koinonia, deep fellowship, intimate sharing, life lived in transparent community. They didn't say, share your secrets only when asked. They said, bear one another's burdens. They understood that isolation is the enemy of intimacy, that secrets are the enemy of connection, that shame thrives in darkness but dies in light. You can't love what you don't know. You can't trust what remains hidden. You can't build intimacy on a foundation of secrets and half truths and carefully curated versions of yourself. The answer isn't to build higher walls, it's to heal the wounds that make us afraid of being. Trust isn't built through lock screens and dodge questions. It's not built through surveillance and suspicion. It's not built through checking their social media or going through their phone. Trust is built through consistency, through showing up when you say you will, through being who you say you are, through keeping your word, even in small things, through choosing honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. It's not just about the big things, but about the small things. Not about just what you did, but how you felt. Not just about your successes, but about your struggles. In conclusion, trust is built by consistent, daily truthfulness.
How about odd vulnerability, Mr. Make? What happened to that?
It got mocked out of the room. Somewhere along the way, we decided that having feelings was weakness, that needing someone was pathetic, that admitting a hurt was giving the other person power over you. A guy says he's jealous, he gets labeled insecure. But if he says nothing, he's called emotionally unavailable. The woman expresses her needs, she's called high maintenance. But if she says nothing, she's called passive aggressive. You can't win. We've created a culture where emotional honesty is punished, where vulnerability is weaponized, where the very thing that creates intimacy is a thing we're most afraid to offer. Jesus wept, the shortest verse in the Bible, but maybe the most profound. The Son of God, fully human, allowing himself to feel so deeply, to grieve openly, to be seen in his pain. David poured his soul into Psalms, crying out to God in anguish and joy, fear and faith. These weren't signs of weakness, they were signs of humanity. But we tell men today, shut it down or be shamed. We tell them to be strong, to be stoic, to be the rock everyone else can lean on. But rocks don't feel, rocks don't connect, rocks don't love. So what happens? The pain festers, the emotions go underground, depression sets in, anxiety builds, and nobody knows because no one asked, and he wouldn't tell if they did. Women vent to friends, but not all friends are friends. Some are competitors disguised as confidants. Some are wounded people who hurt others from their own pain. One bad listener, one judgmental friend, one person who uses your vulnerability against you is more dangerous than 10 enemies. In particular, some turn your heart into a weapon against you. They take your fears and throw them back at you during fights. They use your insecurities as ammunition. They make you regret ever opening up. And if you confide in the opposite sex, if you find an emotional connection with someone who isn't your partner, that's when relationships start to fracture. That's when innocent friendships become emotional affairs. Because when you can't be vulnerable with your partner, you'll find someone else to be vulnerable with. And that's how relationships end, not with a bang, but with a whisper to someone else. In conclusion, that's when Cliff Richard's We Don't Talk Anymore becomes the soundtrack to your love life. Not a good thing.
Let's flip the script, Mr. Mick. Let's stop gossiping and let's start asking, how can I love better?
So let's stop trying to change our partners, start changing ourselves. Let's stop keeping score and start keeping promises. Let's stop looking for someone to complete us and start becoming complete ourselves. Read together, not because you have to, but because you want to share ideas, to learn together, to grow together, pray together, if that's your thing, or meditate together, or just sit together in silence, feeling each other's presence. Play together, laugh together, be silly together. Remember that love isn't just about the deep conversations and the profound moments. It's all about the lightness, the joy, the simple pleasure of each other's company. Talk, really talk, not just about the weather or the news or what's happening at work. Talk about your dreams, your fears, your hopes, your wounds. Talk about what makes you come alive and what makes you want to hide. Cry together, not because you're broken, but because you're human. Because life is hard sometimes, and it's okay to let your partner see you in your pain, because shared tears create deeper intimacy when shared together. That get weighted and weird with each other. Let your guard down. Let your partner see the parts of you that you don't show anyone else. The silly parts, the quirky parts, the parts that make you uniquely you. Be teammates, not rivals. Face the world together, not each other. Remember that it's you and them against the problem, not you against them. When conflict arises, fight for the relationship, not against each other. You're not looking for a highlight reel. You're not looking for someone who looks good on paper or photographs well or impresses your friends. You're looking for someone who shows up when the credits stop rolling, when the filters come off, when real life happens. Look for kindness, especially to people who can't do anything for them. Effort, not just in the big gestures, but in the daily choices. Honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. Follow through, doing what they say they'll do. The way they put the phone down when you talk, giving you your full attention. How they handle conflict, frustration, disappointment. Their relationship with their family, their friends, their past. The way they treat service workers, animals, children. Whether they take responsibility for their mistakes or blame others. How they respond when you're having a bad day. These things don't trend. They don't get likes or shares or comments. They don't make for viral content or clickbait headlines. They build. They last. They create the kind of love that sustains you through decades, not just months. In conclusion, they heal.
Well, Mr. Mick, to sum up, what is a quiet revolution of old school love?
Here's what I believe. We don't need more dating apps. We don't need more relationship experts. We don't need more articles about red flags and love languages and attachment styles. We need soul revival. We need to remember what we've forgotten in our rush to optimize and analyze and perfect our relationships. We need to remember that love is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. We need to relearn the sacred art of paying attention, of being present, of noticing the small things, of listening not just to respond, but to understand, of seeing not just what someone does, but who they are. We need to relearn the art of showing up on time, keeping our word, of being where we say we'll be when we say we'll be there, of treating our commitments as sacred, not suggestions. We need to relearn the art of staying, of choosing the person in front of us, even the imaginary person who might be better, of working through problems instead of walking away from them, of choosing love as a verb, not just a feeling. We need to relearn the art of choosing again and again and again, every day, every moment, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. There's a reason the Song of Songs isn't about performance, but about presence. I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine. No footnotes about compatibility, no prenups about what happens if feelings change, no exit strategies or backup plans, just a sacred mutual belonging. This is the radical countercultural truth that our hookup culture, our swipe right mentality, our consumer approach to relationships has made us forget. Love isn't a transaction, it's a transformation. It's not about getting your needs met, it's about two people becoming more than they could be alone. Love isn't loud, it's steady, it's consistent, it's quiet, it's a daily choice to see the best in someone, to believe the best about them, to hope for the best with them. And it's deeply there, not like a feeling that comes and goes, but like a foundation that holds steady through every storm, like the roots of a tree that go deep enough to weather any wind. That's the revolution, not in the streets or on the screens, but in the quiet moments when nobody's watching, in the daily choices to love when loving is inconvenient, uncomfortable, unrewarded. Real love is still out there, and the couples who hold hands in the grocery store after 40 years, and the friends that show up when you're falling apart, and the parents who love their children even when they're difficult, and the people who choose commitment over convenience, depth over drama, presence over performance. You have to stop scrolling and start seeing. Stop looking for what's wrong and start noticing what's right. Stop waiting for someone to complete you and start becoming complete yourself. We won't fix the culture by screaming louder about what's wrong with everyone else. We'll fix it by loving better ourselves. So maybe you don't look for someone who checks all the boxes on your impossible list. Seek someone whose presence speaks louder than their promises. Find someone whose loyalty isn't loud but lived. Someone who doesn't just love you when it's easy and you're easy to love, but especially when you're not. Someone who sees your potential and loves your process. Someone who chooses you not just on your good days, but on the hard days too. The quiet fire of real love burning steadily in a world that's forgotten how to stay. In conclusion, this stirred your heart. Pass it along to that relationship that still shows up for love with courage and authenticity, because that's the kind of fire we're here to ignite.
Indeed, let the fire ignite in the fury of love. In an era defined by digital connection and fast paced living, we forgot how to love. The quiet crisis in a modern relationships capture the subtle yet profound erosion of authentic emotional bonds in today's society. Mr. Mick, would you like to plug in something?
Sure, if you wouldn't mind, I'm a Doctor of Digital and the Doctor of Digital podcast. You also can catch me on the Idea to Author Coach on Facebook, School, and of course on LinkedIn. That's School, SKOOL. And you can also check out a couple books that I have on Amazon. That's Burning America and On Track, Ian Hunter. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, people love support Mr. Meg because if you support him, for sure, more and more and more empowering books to come, for sure, and more empowering authors to come. So please do listen to our baby podcast, Mental Health 101. Mental Health 101 is created to empower our mental health awareness. Mr. Meg, thank you so much for your time.
Until next time, Deus Volt.
More to come, people. See you soon.